All right, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of GVN Review. Feel like it's been a while since we've done one of these, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm your host, Tia, and I have with me the amazing Dom, Dom, we have been missing you on the MCR podcast every Wednesday, but as we were talking about before I even hit record, you are a very busy man.
Yeah, I've been trying to put a lot on my plate because I tend to thrive under pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's days where I give myself like, well, I don't mean to, but I'll wait till like the last minute to do a review, just like do and like, oh, we need it done like tomorrow. I'm like, okay, man. I do some of my best thinking that way. But yeah, I'm sad I've been missing the MCR. I think, yeah, I was actually I told Juwan last night that I was watching Black Widow the night that I think this past week, and then the last week I don't know what I was doing. I was probably watching a movie, honestly.
You again, very busy man.
Yeah.
I should say that this is, by the way, really quick. A few days ago, when Dom and I were planning on doing this review, we said, "Okay, do you want to host? Do you want to host?" And Dom's like, "You host. You're better at this." I didn't even talk about. I didn't even say the movie that we're reviewing. So we are here. You didn't put. You were wrong in putting your trust in me here, Dom. We are reviewing the upcoming film Black Widow. It is the first Marvel movie to come out since before the pandemic. It feels like forever. I thought for sure it was going to get delayed again, but it's not. It's hitting theaters and Disney Plus July 9th. And Dom and I were lucky enough to see early screeners of it. So we are going to talk about it. Just to let you know, there are going to be spoilers in this review. So if you don't want any spoilers, you want to go in, no spoilers, maybe watch this after you see it. But I will put a link down below in the description for a spoiler-free review that you can also read. But Dom, before we get started, I just want to ask you, because for me, Scarlett Johansson's been playing Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, since the second Iron Man movie in 2010. And I for sure thought we were going to get a movie back then with her because, Iron Man got his movie, Cap, this, that. Everyone in the Avengers really got their movie. So I was like, well, it's only a matter of time since, until Black Widow. And it never happened until after she was killed off in Endgame. And it's like, okay, it's going to be a prequel. So my question is, I mean, were you ever really expecting a Black Widow movie? I mean, what was your excitement level going into watching this film?
No, I definitely thought at some point because she always has so much like mystery behind her, like where did she learn how to do all this fighting and why is she so good at being able to blend in and disappear and she knows so many things and how to get around. I definitely never wanted to see any kind of Hawkeye or anything. I was like, I hope we get
High
this and I hope we don't get that.
five.
But I mean, I kind of can understand maybe why they took the route they did because she doesn't have any powers per se.
Right.
But just like with the upcoming Shang Chi, it's nice to see like some fisticuffs, some hand to hand combat. I mean, besides pulse blasters and lightning bolts, and it's cool. But like, I like to see that hand to hand combat. It makes it more like believable and tangible for us to see that because we're like, if I was trained, I could do that same exact thing. You know what I mean? So you see somebody who's that trained, like, oh, he's clearly a badass. But yeah, it did take a long time. And with her being, because I've looked up um, her resume and her stats for a while now, and for the longest time, she's been like the highest paid actress. I think at one point she
Something
was
like that.
like in the top three actors in general,
Mm-hmm.
and all these big roles, but you never wanted to give her a lead position. It made no sense. And of course, you have the people who are going to argue, well, look what happened with Captain Marvel, or well, she doesn't have a guy partner. I mean, that's that same thing that happened with like Birds of Prey.
Right.
they're like, well, you can't have a girl movie without men in it because it's not gonna work, and it's just not the case. At least for me, you know, what I mean, a good story, a good movie is a good story and a good movie.
That's how I feel as well. I mean, obviously, when she was first, in the Avengers, the first Avenger, she was the only girl in the group. So, as a woman, I wanted to see her have her own movie. And I understand that the people behind Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, Kevin Feige have said, we could have made one back then, but it wouldn't have been this story. And I will say, I really love the story of this movie. We'll get into that in a second. So I am okay with it. I do wish we would have gotten it because it takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War. I'm like, well, why couldn't you just put it out back then?
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been the same story, but whatever. Yeah, I really love it. I don't want to get into the whole, that versus Captain Marvel. I mean, we've had a million male-led movies in the MCU, only two female-led movies, so I'm not about to pit them against each other.
Right.
So, I mean, let's get into the review, right? So, of course, you have Scarlett Johansson reprising her role as Natasha Romanoff. It's directed by Kate Shortland. It stars also Florence Pugh. I'm not sure always how to pronounce her last name. Rachel Weisz and my man, David Harbour. So, I mean, how do you think this cast did, first of all, in this movie?
I mean, as soon as I saw Florence Pugh, I was in. She's become
She's
since
phenomenal.
since Midsummer. She's been one of my favorite actresses to watch, and then I seen her in Little Women, and she kind of stole the show in that one too. She's really good, and I'll message her. Of course, she's not gonna read my message. I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. But the fact
You're
that
not a nobody. You are getting up there, Dom.
I'm
Don't
trying.
discredit
I'm trying to climb
yourself.
the ladder. But the fact that we did get a character that is our actor is playing a character that is younger and in reality, bodes well for we may see her again. You know what I mean? And it kind of is like, okay, cool. And then um, David Harbour, his the story of him like not acting at all until like what in his 30s or 40s or something
Yeah,
like
his
that.
his career started much later. I mean, everyone thinks that you have to be a teenager to get
Right.
into the acting world, and the fact that David Harbour got into his acting later in life, kind of is an inspiration, if you ever
Yeah.
want to go in that route.
Yeah. So and then Rachel Weisz added to that, like she has like this. She is like full Mystique. I wasn't sure about her character, and then seeing her just added more. I'm just like, I don't know about her because she's so like uh encased in like herself that you don't know who or what she's trying to do. So yeah, like as soon as I saw the cast, I was like, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that it was a story about this family who is put together, right? They're not related to each other. Obviously, there's the Cold War, Soviet Union aspects to it. They're a family that's put together and they're placed in America to, pretend to be father, mother, daughter. And, that's kind of how the movie starts. And I was surprised that the movie started in this very organic, authentic sort of way. It didn't start with, obviously, we got guns and stuff in that
Right.
sequence, but it didn't start with blasters or anything really inherently comic book movie. So I really enjoyed that. Um, and I love that I love that Natasha's hair was like blue at the time.
Yeah.
I just felt as if that was so her, but I really thought that um, both David Harbour's character Alexei and Rachel Weisz's character Melina did genuinely in that portion care about each other and care about their children. Um, did you feel that way as well?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how accurate their sleeper cell family is to actual sleeper cells, but as people, if you're together for years at a time,
Mm-hmm.
you're eventually, especially if you have to be a couple in public, and you're gonna kind of have feelings. You're gonna, no matter how cold you are, you're gonna have some kind of feelings. You're gonna care about them. You might be in love with them. And Yelena, little Yelena, she really was like, "This is my family,"
Right.
So yeah, I I definitely enjoyed that sequence because it kind of let us know why she has those reservations as an adult, Natasha, because she does always seem like she wants to be grounded, but she never kind of lets herself get to that point because she knows it. Just like as a kid, it might go up in smoke. So why get attached for too long?
Yeah, and that always has been Natasha's thing. You talked before about Natasha being very good at eluding people and, just being the epitome of a spy. And I loved her kind of opening sequence again as an adult, where you think that Agent Ross is onto her, he's going to get her, and she's on a boat, in Norway and everything. So I really enjoyed that. I think that that was the perfect way to start off with Natasha. And I kind of wanted to skip around just a little, talk really about characters as opposed to maybe specific scenes.
Right.
And the one thing I want to start off with saying is, we get, oh my God. Okay. So I don't know if you were on the podcast, right? But whatchamacallit it, Jawan, I think, was saying that he felt as if the actor OT was going to have this bigger role because we saw him introduced at one of the Comic Cons and such like that. Now, he didn't really have a big role. And I felt as if they were trying to allude that maybe him and Natasha has some sort of romantic relationship. I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
right? I mean, what did you think about that? Because every time I showed it, I was like, has Natasha had a man this whole time and we just didn't know about it?
That's what I was telling my wife. I was like, look at the way she's looking at him. They get some kind of pass. And she kept saying friend and friend, like we it fizzled or we just can't be together because the work we're in. Yeah. But I was like, the way they're looking at each other, and she walked up on him while he's asleep, and I felt like she was looking at his butt as he was walking away.
100%.
He's a handsome dude, so I was like, okay, I can see this. They done something happened. Something happened. They know too many secrets with each other. And they're very like, she let her guard down.
Yeah.
Completely let her guard down. So I was like, yeah, something been going on. And I really wanted them to like explore that more. Or if we can get another spin-off, like, even if it's a short where they how they met, maybe it was on a mission, or maybe she was sent to, kill somebody he was with, but then, I need something. I need some extra.
Well, because, I have been a little outspoken about how much I thought Natasha and Bruce did not work. And I love Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. It's just when they tried to force that whole thing, there was no chemistry at all. So when they introduced this character, there's all the chemistry in the world. So it's just funny. I mean, that they didn't say catch the fish there at that point. But yeah, his character definitely is not who you think it is. That's all I'll say with that. Not who you think it is. But yeah, so I enjoyed seeing those little aspects of Natasha. She's always very witty. But now I want to move on. Obviously, this is Natasha's movie, but I really want to talk about the person we were just speaking of, Florence Pugh as Yelena. What a showstopper. I mean, I had seen Midsommar and I really enjoyed her in that. And I know that she's going to show up in the Hawkeye series. And I am so excited that we have her in the MCU. I'm obviously sad that we're not going to have Natasha around, but I think she's a great person to pass the torch to. So, I mean, what were your thoughts on Yelena before I go into mine?
She is, if we were going to lose one badass, we got another badass, you know what I mean? And she honestly might be a step up because she is a little bit more of a cold-blooded assassin compared to when Natasha is, because what happened to her was a little different than Natasha. One was, you know, a mental manipulation, and one is chemical. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
And the good thing about both those actresses is that if you kind of compare bodies of work from everybody in the MCU,
Mhm.
those two have they played in more serious roles, like Oscar nominated type acting. So you lose one, and then we gain another one. Yeah, I mean, she complete badass, and I was especially when they go kind of toe to toe. I was like, okay, yeah, like she ain't no slouch. When Natasha has trouble, that means trouble,
Yeah.
and luckily she's on her side at least for the time being.
I saw a review or two who said that they felt, I never want to discredit what other people took away from movies, but I did see a few reviews who said that they felt as if Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh didn't have chemistry with each other. I have to disagree. I thought that they really were fantastic, especially their sisterly bond.
Yeah,
That one part where I believe Yelena is telling Natasha of the life that she kind of made up for herself, like,
yeah,
oh, you're married with a dog or something like that. I mean, I just thought that their relationship was so beautiful. And I agree, I would love to even get a short or something like that to continue their relationship because I thought they were great with each other. And my absolute favorite thing about their relationship is Yelena making fun of Natasha for her superhero pose. And that scene where she literally they're in a store and she just crouches and starts like flipping her hair and everything. I thought was the best. I mean, Florence Pugh
you're a
is just so
complete
great.
poser. You're a poser. Like it was
Yeah.
so good. Yeah, and I see this a lot of times with within reviews or people commenting on characters who are from different countries. They're supposed to be from like Russia.
Mhm.
They're, you know, and in America we see Russians as cold people. So that is their chemistry. It's not going to be a buddy like, hey, la, 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 but they're joking with each other and they have their own little things. And I
Well,
mean,
especially
like you
the
said,
trauma too that they've
yeah,
experienced, they're not going to
yeah,
be
and then
like, let's hug.
yeah, and they're trained assassins.
Yeah.
Trained assassins are we've all seen different types of things. They're not lovey dovey all the time, or half the time we never see anything like that. So this was actually kind of refreshing to see like oh, what do assassins do outside of not being assassins? And they
Right.
joke on each other, you know, and especially that store scene, it felt very organic because when you're with your friends in a store, it's almost like the store's not there. You're not paying attention to people looking at you while you're doing something goofy, and she's doing something, you know, somewhat goofy,
Yeah.
and the store owner or the clerk is just sitting there like, I don't know what to do.
I thought about that being the store clerk in that instance. Like, what is she doing? And the
Yeah,
fact that
that
she
was so
was,
good.
and the fact that we finally got the thing with the vest, the thing that she was so excited, like that childlike almost perception of things because she was so young. And
Yeah.
her like, this is the first thing I bought, and I love it because it has pockets. And I have to tell you, that's such a girl thing. I don't know if your wife has expressed that to you, but any woman who gets, say, a dress that has pockets,
Right, right, right.
someone could be like, that's such an amazing dress. And they're commenting on the colors, the shape, or whatever. And you're like, it has pockets. It's amazing because it has
I could put so
pockets.
much stuff in it. It's
And I
great.
love that. To me, that was spot on. It was hilarious, and it was a great little nod to the whole vest. Oh, Natasha has it in Infinity War
Yeah.
now.
And I think what you just said too is also a detail that you would only see with a female director.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like those little things. Like there's a movie, I think Never, Always, Sometimes, something like that. But there was a
Sounds familiar.
scene, yeah, there was a scene where the girl was pregnant and she was like newly pregnant. She's adjusting her draw strap, and they focused in on it. I didn't quite get like the full weight of like that scene. My wife was explaining to me, you know, her boobs are getting bigger and she's got to adjust. And then I was like, And a guy director would not put that in there because he doesn't pay attention to that. He's
Wouldn't
never
think
wore a
about
bra.
that.
Yeah, so like those are the little things with the pockets thing, like you said, that a female director puts that in there, and it's a subtle thing that you pick up on. That I'm just like, oh, that's kind of funny, but I don't get the full, scope of it. That like, oh, because like you said, girls love pockets because you don't normally have pockets and things.
We have to have purses, but
Yeah, right.
well, it reminded me also a bit of Birds of Prey with Kathy Yan being a director in that scene where you've seen Birds of Prey, right?
Yeah.
Where they're fighting in that topsy-turvy place, and Black Canary's hair is all over the place, and Harley Quinn's like, here, a thing. She's like, oh, thanks. And I can imagine that would be kind of not confusing. Maybe people didn't even think too much about that, but that scene alone, it's like, because women, not that men can't have long hair, but women typically are the ones with the long hair. So I appreciate those little details. But yeah, Yelena was fantastic. And one of my other favorite scenes comes from Yelena and David Harbour's Alexei. So let's talk about David Harbour as Alexei, because I really love the Red Guardian in this movie. So what were your thoughts about this? Our Soviet Union version of Captain America.
I love that, like, he so doesn't see himself as a bad guy at all. He's just like, no, he kind of like looked up to Captain America. He's like, I wanted to be that for Russia. I wanted to be the guy, and I'm the one. And I think, I think, and maybe it's because he feels invincible, but he did have like this childlike exuberance about being himself. You know what I mean? Especially like my favorite thing is the when he's in jail and they're doing the arm wrestling, and I'm like, that's great. Just him like, oh no, you get out of here. Like,
like showing he does have that super soldier serum in him. Yeah.
I think the only and this is a thing that's personal to me. The only downside to his character for me was he didn't have the tattoos until prison. As a person with tattoos, a lot of tattoos, I would love to see a person have tattoos and just be normal, but like they always in movies and TV.
It's like, oh, he got it while being locked up. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And hopefully that changes one day. But that was the only downside for me. But I love the way the tattoos looked, and it kind of added to his persona, which is still funny because he has them and he looks more menacing, but he's still kind of goofy.
Yes. They were remarkably well done for being prison tattoos, because I've seen shows of tattoo artists rate prison tattoos, and they're never not that nice.
But now his character is great, and I love too that he is like when he's putting his suit on, he's like trying to put it on. I was like, he's got a normal body, and I love it. Yeah. Like, we all love seeing Chris Hemsworth and Cap, but like to see like a normal guy, but he's still super strong. I was like, yes, like we're not all ripped, okay? Dang, like let us have some normal guys too. That's why I love that.
I think that's always, just speaking about David Harbour in general, I'm just going to be out there and say this. I think that's the appeal of him. Like even in Stranger Things season 3, it's like, again, you have the Chris Evans and the Chris Hemsworth, and you're like, of course, but something about David Harbour, you're like, that as well. I don't know. It's David Harbour. It's just something about him. But I will say, I loved his character. I loved his goofiness. I did at some points want to like strangle him because he was so not understanding why Natasha and Yelena were hurt. Like, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the prison escape scene. I think it's really well done. And when he gets up there, he's like, oh my goodness, it's so nice to see you. And they're just like, hey, sup, and everything. And he's like, oh, when he goes, are you on your periods? And just Yelena going, no, they tear our shit out. And I was like, and by the way, that's really intense for them to talk about in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. And I think that, and I don't know if you noticed, like, and I rewinded it a couple times to look at it. When he gets on the helicopter, Yelena is like visibly pissed off. She's like
Right.
breathing different. She's like moving weird. And I was like, that's good acting right there. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of off to the side, but it just let you know, like, she is not with it. Like, she's like, you're here for a purpose. Don't talk to me.
Because
But yeah, like,
whereas, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or anything.
oh, I was gonna say, like, yeah, her saying like, hey, you snipped stuff out so we can't have kids and ripping. I was like, and he's like, oh, don't be so clinical and nasty. I don't know.
Yeah, it was intense to me that they said that. I like what you said there because Natasha also expresses emotions, but maybe is a little bit more aloof because she was older and maybe able to understand things more. Whereas Yelena took that seriously. She said, "You were my family. It was real to me." I mean, just these are Oscar winning actresses putting on performances. And that to me was really emotional and heartbreaking. Her saying, like, you guys are all kind of laughing. Oh, remember that time where we pretended to be a family? She's like, you were my mom. You were my dad. You were my sister. And you're telling me that was all fake and I shouldn't feel as hurt as I am. So I felt for Yelena in that moment, but one of my favorite scenes was between Yelena and the Red Guardian in the house when he starts singing to her. Oh my God, that was so emotional.
Yeah. And I like that because she is an assassin, she's kind of morbid a little bit. She's, when she's in the prison break and she sees like this avalanche, she's like, that'd be a cool way to die. Like,
it reminded me of in your favorite movie, Age of Ultron, when Natasha and Steve are on top of Sokovia, and Natasha goes, "There are worse ways to die. At least it's a pretty view."
Yeah, like that's just. I guess that's just like, they're raised in that kind of environment where just like, I mean, if I gotta go out, I mean, at least they want to be cool or pretty or
so nice.
And the crazy thing about like the whole realm of like that the Red Room thing, it reminded me, and maybe you know the film. There's a film with Jennifer Lawrence, and
I know what
it's
you're talking about.
It's kind of the same scenarios that she's raised in this place where she's trained to become an assassin and by using her, feminine appeal and whatnot. And I was like, is this a real thing? Like this really goes on? Because I feel like that movie was based more on reality, and I don't know if it's completely fictional, but like to have this keep popping up, I was like, something going on in Russia, man.
Well, wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
But so kind of moving away from just focusing on the characters and talking more like story aspects. I mean, what was this is our look into the Red Room. I know we got a little in Age of Ultron and flashbacks, but this was really our look into the Red Room, into another serious topic of the trafficking of young girls, of young children. I mean, there were really adult themes in this movie, but what was your opinion of how the Red Room was portrayed?
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, it does have a very real world like um touch to it, that there is so much like missing kids and little girls in particular get snatched up so much, and you're like, what happens? And this one, of course, since it's in this realm, it's it's just as bad as you might think, but they're serving some kind of purpose for this guy. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that that happens, and how they don't the way that they think, the things they think happen. Where I was found on a doorstep, or my mom was a junkie, or this happened, and then that's what you think. So they at some point they probably get Stockholm syndrome and think like, well, it's better than being in a dumpster.
Yeah.
And if you find out that's not the case, it's gonna make you angry or sad, and then really angry. So yeah, it's kind of intense when you really think about like the implications of something like that happening, which I'm sure at some point does happen. I mean, look at Kill Bill. It's a bunch of women assassins. It could be a similar type of thing that he drew from, because I guess women would make the perfect assassins, because if you see a dainty, pretty female, you're not gonna think she's gonna stab you in the neck or shoot you
Right.
from 300 yards away. So yeah, it's crazy.
It was very intense. I really enjoyed the film as a whole. I will say that the third act maybe could have been improved a little, particularly the whole pheromone thing. I kind
Yeah,
of thought that that was really strange. Like before I put it over to you, I mean, it was like a cool scene of her beating herself up and then going, "Thank you for your cooperation." It reminded me very much of her interaction with Loki, but as a whole, I kind of it was a interesting choice.
yeah, yeah. And I kind of saw it coming once, like she kept letting him like beat her up. I was like, okay, I see where this is going, but I wasn't quite sure how bad.
I didn't see it, so but you're
But
so good at picking up things.
but yeah, the pheromones thing is, I'd have to look this up to see if anything like that is even possible, because I know it's, in the comic book realm, but her character is kind of more based in reality, like the most of it, the way it plays out. So I'm like, is that possible to like
Is there a
do that? I mean,
degree of like realism here?
yeah, I mean, especially for it to be a complete mental block. I can understand if like it makes her like think twice, but like what is going, I mean,
Yeah.
but that's genius for a villain.
Oh
Like he's
yeah.
just like, oh no, I'm fine. She can't do anything. Um, and I think that's probably the one thing that made him like this menacing character, is because he has that like, no worries, I'll just disappear. I'm not worried about any of the girls
Mhm.
because they're just blocked. So it's a genius thing that they put in there for him, because when you see him, you're like, that's that's the guy.
Yeah, he's not very imposing. He reminds me a bit of the oh gosh, who is the scientist in the first Captain America and also the Winter Soldier?
Oh,
Was that Solo? Was his name Solo?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Or am
yeah,
I
yeah.
thinking about the movie you were just telling me about?
No, you're right. You're right. He kind of reminded me of like Stryker from the X-Men films.
Yeah. So not very intimidating. So he has to use
Yeah,
some, but I think that that was supposed to be subliminal in a way.
yeah,
Here's
yeah.
a Weasley guy who wants to control a bunch of women and can't think of any other way to do it other than maybe a dirty tactic. Um,
And before you move on real
yeah,
quick,
of course.
I wanted to say that I know, and I've seen it online, and I once thought it myself when I was younger. When you see girls beating up a bunch of dudes, most dudes are like, yeah, right, that wouldn't happen to me, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then, of course, in my machismo, when I was like 18, 19, I thought the same thing until I worked at a Taekwondo school. All the best students were females, my sister included. And I remember doing a jujitsu class, and I had to like roll with my friend Shinley,
Mhm.
and I grabbed her. I'm trying to get her to a submission. She somehow climbs around my body, gets me a rear naked choke, and I had to tap out. I couldn't do anything.
Oh wow.
So men who think it is possible. These girls is not playing. Don't let their size fool you, because we're not as flexible. We're definitely not as tough. So like, it's possible. So anytime you see these things happening, just know like it could really happen.
Well, that was always my favorite thing about Natasha's moves when she would jump and like wrap her legs around
Yeah.
someone's neck and just take them down there. I'm like, that's so cool. I want to do that. I would never be able to, but it'd be really cool.
Right.
um, So, I mean, let me ask before I move on to, I'm going to get to the Taskmaster thing, but I do want to ask, what did you, because this is a Marvel movie. I mean, what did you think about the fight choreography in this?
Oh, it was so good. It's funny you say that because as I was watching, I was like, man, like, and I almost put it by itself until I got to thinking about Winter Soldier, and
Right.
I was like, oh wait, yeah. So I was like, cause I was sitting thinking like this movie is unlike. I was thinking about what I would tell people like
Right.
this is unlike any other of the Marvel films, and I was like, oh wait. Captain America Winter Soldier. It's very similar in that action. So the choreography and the speed of the choreography,
Mhm.
it's not like they had to slow anything down. It's like no holds barred, full speed, and yeah. So it looked really good.
Yeah, I especially liked Yelena's fight scenes. Again, when she jumped in
Yeah.
and did her thing, great
Doing the dice
choreography.
trick, drops it and like catches it.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, all of them. Melina was good. I even liked Red Guardian's choreography. I would have liked to see a little more of it. Um,
Yeah.
I, I listen. He didn't. He didn't. I don't want to spoil anything, but maybe we can see him in the future.
Right.
And Kevin
Right.
and Kevin Feige. I mean, I know we're spoiling stuff, but not spoiling too much shit.
Right.
Kevin Feige has said that maybe there's room for spin-offs and stuff of these characters, and I would love to see more Red Guardian, especially since in the comics he kind of forms his like own Russian version of the Avengers, and I think there's
And I
like a bear in it, which is so Russian. So,
and I just watched that HBO Max film No Sudden Move.
okay.
David Harbour is in it, and
Mm.
he's a little more lean. So I don't know if that means anything, but we know how Marvel does with their characters in
Oh yeah.
advance to get them to look a certain way. So I don't know if that's any kind of tell for the future. But he did look a little more, a little slimmer.
Well, I do know what was it at the Comic Con where they all came out on stage. I think David Harbour was asked, what do you think about joining the Marvel universe? And he's like, another fandom? Great, I love it. Let's do it. So it's like I hope that he's still down because again, I love to see more of him. So yeah, Chris Pratt, Paul Rudd, look at Chris Hemsworth. Marvel's like, all right, there's stuff you got to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed the fight choreography. Let's move on to. There's only about a couple of more things I really want to touch upon in this review. One being Taskmaster. There was so much rumors, speculation. Who is this now? You know me. I don't read the comics. I have had no expectations of who this character is. I will imagine that the reveal of this character will probably anger some hardcore fans.
That
what
was
What
my
do you
first
think?
thought
Yeah.
too. That was my first thought too. I was like, I mean, I like what they did. I thought it fits perfectly within
Yeah.
the film. But yeah, I already know there's gonna be people that are gonna be mad with the reveal. But Taskmaster still has the abilities that Taskmaster is supposed to have,
Right.
the mimicry, and I mean, a lot of the stuff it's in the trailer, kind of.
Yeah.
You see the shield, you see some claws, so I liked it. I enjoyed how they. I enjoyed how the character looked. The character looked dope.
Yeah, some
Um,
people really dislike the look of Taskmaster, and again, I'm like, they have a hood. People keep complaining that there's no hood. There's a hood. I don't know.
it's just not. You can't wear a hood all the time while you're fighting. Like you can keep it in the comics because they don't feel like drawing it off, drawing it on, drawing it off.
All right.
Just like when we eventually see Doctor Doom again, I'm sure he's not gonna have a hood on the entire time.
Don't say that too loud. People won't be happy.
Because as I was looking, I was like, there's a guy called the God of Props on Instagram,
Okay.
and he makes a lot of like character helmets. So he'll take a mask and make it into like a helmet. And I was like, I want the Taskmaster helmet really bad. And I'm not even fully invested in like the character in the comics, but like
Right.
seeing it, I was like, I really like that whole outfit. Like, I'm not a big cosplayer, but like I could squeeze into that costume.
I, you know, I didn't mind the reveal of Taskmaster. As you said, I think it fit. Being in the industry that we're in, my thought immediately went to, oh, people aren't going to be happy about this, which kind of ruined it for me to have really my own sort of opinion on it. I'll just be honest about that because my direct thought process was, all right, let's see what the general public reviews are about this once it comes out. But again, I think it fit into what the spectrum of the movie was. Um, so yeah, I didn't mind that per se. What am I gonna? Oh yeah, two last things. One being, we did get a few Clint Barton references in this movie. I do know that people were hoping to see more of what happened in Budapest.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
you know,
Budapest. Budapest.
yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about this before the podcast because, again, we all know that famous scene in Avengers where she's like, it reminds me of Budapest. We remember Budapest really differently. I will say this right now, there's no Jatari level event in Budapest that happens. To me, as I was thinking about it, I'm like, that was probably just Natasha just being Natasha and
Yeah.
sarcastic in the middle of a crazy fight. That's what I thought personally about it.
Yeah, it all the Agents of Shield fans, it reminded me of May, Agent May, when they always call her the Cavalry, and everybody wants to know why they call her the Cavalry. And it takes seasons for us to finally find out and see what happened. And she carries this trauma with her, and this is the same kind of trauma that Natasha's been carrying with her. Something like, it's my job. I have to do this thing, but it sucks that I had to do it, and then just stuck with her. And
Yeah.
something like that would. I mean, I can see exactly how, because I mean, everybody has a code. Everybody in those kind of fields has a code, and I'm sure she had to break her code, and she did not like it.
No, not at all, especially since we see how much Natasha cares about young girls,
Yeah,
and the fact that her doing the duty, her getting out of the red room, going to Shield meant that she needed to cross that line. Which was so interesting that Shield would ask that of her. But I guess
yeah,
now it kind of makes sense knowing that Shield had Hydra in them the whole time.
yeah.
So yeah, sorry for those who were expecting Chitauri descending upon New York level of craziness in Budapest. It's a wonderful story of the Black Widow movie in general, but and sorry, Clint doesn't show up. There's just references of him.
The good thing about that, though, I mean, it may not be Chitari level, but I think it does have it creates a trickle down that we're gonna see in the future.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It leads to one thing, and then that's gonna eventually lead into another thing, and
Mhm.
so it wasn't like a spectacle like we all thought it might be, but definitely is gonna play a role going forward.
Absolutely. So the last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to put a big spoiler here because I want to talk about it. So spoiler, we finally get an end credit scene, which I feel like we haven't had one of those in so long. I know we had like mid credit scenes and end credit scenes in the shows, but I'm talking about movies. Endgame didn't have one, so I was eager for one. So the end credit scene, again, spoilers, is Yelena at the grave of Natasha. We know then it takes place after Endgame, which I'm happy Natasha gets a freaking grave.
Right.
Tony Stark had a whole funeral. Natasha just got nothing. So there she is. And Yelena's looking fashionable as ever. Loved it. And who approaches her? Val, who shows up in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. So I mean, it's looking like Val is getting her recruits.
Yeah, and she has a target for her that I did not expect.
Oh,
Like
I
I didn't.
loved it though. As
Yeah,
soon I was like, oh, now I'm excited for this
and that
show.
and his name was mentioned to her before. I
Mhm.
wonder what that means for her going forward. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so she asked about what are these markings on the wall, and she's like, "Oh, it's not from bullets." So I'm like, okay, she knows, okay, who that was, and she sees this picture. Are you gonna hesitate because like that was my sister's friend? Or are you like, nah, you're the reason. Like, I got to do this thing. I don't. It's me. So this was supposed to take place originally before Falcon and Winter
Before,
Soldier.
right. So this would
Okay.
have been our first viewing of who Val was. And so then by the time she showed up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, that would have been the second time. We would have already known who she was. So now things
Right.
are reversed. I didn't
Yeah,
particularly mind.
I think they got kind of lucky the way
Yeah.
that they filmed both because uh, when we see her and she mentions who she is on the end credit scene, you were at first we would have been like, "Who is that?" And then later on, she explains who she is. But then now that we saw Falcon and Winter Soldier first, and then she explains who she is, the way they shot it with her just saying like Val, like we know who she is. They got lucky that it kind of plays out in a streamlined way.
Yeah, I agree because I don't think that if we would have seen it originally like this, that it would have been as recognizable as, say, Samuel L. Jackson appearing as Nick Fury at the end of the first Iron Man. It would have been like, who is Val and why should I care? So then you see her in the show and you're like, oh, okay, now this makes more sense. So I'm very intrigued. I love that we have I mean, we already knew that Yelena was going to show back up again, but I love seeing it on a movie scale that we know that Yelena is here for some sort of time period in the MCU because she was phenomenal in it. So I really like that end credit scene. And again, I loved it. I was like, yeah, let's pit these two together against each other. Now
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we're gonna see Val keep popping up and just like doing the Nick Fury thing.
she's the new Nick
Hey,
Fury, apparently.
yeah, like come on, I got you. We're gonna do something. So I'm curious because this is a great way, for us to see a lot of characters that like are gonna be new, ones that we're not familiar with, and then they're gonna be able to build even more. Like Feige and them, they're masterminds apparently. I will ask you though.
I'm sorry.
Did you?
It's like I was like, I feel my throat starting to get scratchy. Let me take a sip of something before I start like sounding like a frog. So I apologize about that.
Oh no, you good. I will ask you though. I watched it at home.
Mm-hmm.
You watched it in a theater. What was
Right.
like in the theater?
So because there was only like five of us, it wasn't that huge uproar experience, but we still had a few of us laughing out loud, a few of us going, oh shit. So there was that nice movie theater experience excitement that you really want from Marvel movies. I've said this a lot on different podcasts and to friends and such, that I'm not the biggest movie theater person. I only go for these sort of films, and it's totally worth it. I mean, the scenes in Endgame, Cap picking up Mjolnir, Infinity War, Thor landing on Wakanda wouldn't have had probably the same impact if I would have seen it at home first. So that ultimately drove my decision to see Black Widow in the theater as opposed to at home. But I will tell you this: when it comes out this Friday, I will see it at home. Even though it's going to be a little bit more money. My favorite movie theater locally isn't open yet. Like I went to New York City to see this. So my favorite movie theater locally isn't open yet. I have a nice, not bragging here, sorry, 50-inch TV. So it's like, I'm sure it'll look nice, just as nice on this TV. So I will be watching at home. Will you be paying for it at home, or are you going to go to the theater to now get that experience for Black Widow?
Well, see, I watched it similar to how you would. I have a 50, I think it's 50, and I got a soundbar, so I try to turn it as loud as possible. But I do want to get the surround sound
Mhm.
experience. I might, depending on um, if they show it in this theater. I'm really hooked on this Dolby theater. So if
Okay.
anybody has the opportunity to see this movie in a Dolby theater. And I think they're only at AMC theaters. It's their equivalent to um, like IMAX, basically.
Okay.
Best sound, like the sound, like it's not 48, but the sound will shake your seats, and the screen is gigantic.
Yeah.
The one closest to me is like 40 minutes away, but the last two movies I've seen there, it was very much worth it. So that's probably what I end up doing because I want to feel the full experience, and not have to like possibly pause it because somebody's doing something in their room they're not supposed to be doing, you know.
Uh, my favorite movie theater locally is the Alamo. And I don't know if you've ever been to an Alamo before, but they literally serve you food as you're sitting there. You can get a beer while you're sitting there, and they have a very strict no talking policy. I mean, obviously, when things
Right.
are exciting, you can cheer and stuff, but it's very strict no talking. And I think that's why I hate movie theaters, because I went and saw A Quiet Place Part 2 like 2 weeks ago at a different movie theater. There's someone on their phone, there's someone having a full conversation, and I'm sitting there going, this is why I hate movie theaters.
And that movie is so quiet that any kind of little thing kind of takes you out of the experience.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
when I saw The Nun years ago. I made a mistake because there's a horror movie in the theaters, like a big, a big one, and I had a whole row of teenagers beside me, and they're like, no, and I was like, this is not even y'all being extra. I just want to enjoy the movie, okay?
that
Please.
that happened years ago. Now it's story time, apparently. That happened years ago. My friend and I saw Deadpool 2 in the theater. And obviously it's funny, you're laughing. But there was this one guy next to my friend who was like, ha 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 ha, like just obnoxiously laughing at things that weren't even funny. Deadpool's have like Josh Brolin's characters, talking about his wife was, killed by fire. And he's like, ha 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 ha. And it's like someone get this guy to shut the hell up. So uh movie theaters are strange for me, but yeah, I will be watching Black Widow at home. I will be watching it on my TV and everything, but I look forward to seeing Shang-Chi and Eternals in the theater, and really just the return of Marvel movies. So before I let you go today, with Black Widow, out of 10, what would you say is a fair rating?
Um, I
I
I
put you
know
on the
people.
spot. I know.
I know some people hate my ratings. I've talked to a couple other like reviewers, and they're like, "You're so nice." I was like, "No, like this is art that
It's
we
like I
can't
just
do."
enjoy things.
And honestly, like most things, if I give it like, say, if I gave something a two,
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5 just because this is art someone created that I can't do.
Right.
So you gotta give it some credit, even if it was kind of bad. But I'd probably honestly out of 10 give this like a good 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it
would
may
give
not be perfect, but there's a lot to love about it.
it an 8, just because I like being nice about ratings as well. It entertained me. Love
Mm-hmm.
the fight choreography. Love the characters. Just for a few little things in the third act, took it away. I wouldn't. Not the Falcon. Sorry, the Winter Soldier is my favorite movie in the MCU. Like,
Right.
still holds it. So I'm not going to say it's better than that. Um, but I would say it's comparable if you're looking for a spy espionage thriller. I think you're going to get it. If you're craving that Captain America Winter Soldier vibes, then you're going to get it, just with a sprinkle of, Cold War, Soviet Union, Russia. There you go.
Just like I told that guy on Twitter, it may not have the huge, and I think he was talking about other reviews he had saw that like didn't like it as much, and I was like, yeah, it doesn't have the same ramifications as some of the other films because this is
A
a
prequel.
prequel. It's in the middle of two events, but once you finish the entire thing and see the people who survive everything the end credit scene, it does have ramifications for the
Yeah.
future of the MCU. So it is important to see.
I mean, it was a great introduction to Yelena. I thought that it was a nice background story of Natasha, who's been a character with us for a decade. And if we get more David Harbour's Red Guardian, it was a nice introduction to him as well. Yeah, Kanan told me that we had someone who follows us who said that I was too soft on Disney. Uh, I mean, first of all, I hate every single like Disney live action film, and I've been very vocal about that. So I'm like, I'm not soft on Disney. You can say maybe I'm a little soft on Marvel because I'm entertained. That's all that matters to me, at
Yeah,
least.
people have to realize like our job as reviewers is to not completely shit on the film,
Right.
because who wants to like just tear something apart that took a long time to make? If it's entertaining, if there's certain aspects that we really love, that's what we're gonna tell you. I refuse to like completely put every single little nitpicky thing that I
Yeah.
don't like about a film, because I may have a very positive review of something, but my rating may not be as positive as it looks. Because there was a guy last year, he was like, well, if the film is so original, why does it get a 3.5? And I was like, because it was original, but it wasn't like the best film. It's
Right.
just that I'm gonna tell you what you're going to like about it. I don't need to like shit on every single little thing, and that's what they're used to. And I'm actively myself trying to change that culture of shitting on everything, just because especially in writing form, when it's like in concrete, I could do it on something like this,
Yeah.
because like you're gonna see my positivity in a review, but when it comes to concrete, when you see the words in print, I don't need to just be like, the movie was complete trash and it's stupid and you shouldn't see it. No, because just like we're artists with our writing, they're artists with their filmmaking. And it sucks when you just like, I spent years or whatever making this and everybody just hated it. That sucks. You know what I mean? So
Well, I'll say
I
two.
try to be as positive as possible.
Well, I'll say two things. Like, I do really want people to see this movie specifically because it has a few things going against it. It's a prequel, so people automatically are like, who cares? And it's a female led superhero movie, which, again, we have the taste of Captain. I didn't think Captain Marvel was horrible. You know, I do have my criticisms of it.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and go, it was the worst freaking movie ever. But people have that in their minds, so they may not go see this. So I want them to see it. And I agree with what you said. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the story. I reviewed a movie like 2 years ago, and I thought it was being really it was like an indie film. I thought it was being really witty and like absolutely trashing it. And she emailed us saying that I made her cry.
Right.
And at the time, part of me was like, well, you're a filmmaker, have tougher skin. But then
Right.
I thought to myself, again, if you spent years writing a film and directing it, and it is an indie film, so you clearly didn't have the right budget or anything, it's like, who am I? Who am I to make you feel that effing shitty about yourself? So I do try and be better because, as you said, there's a lot of negativity in this space, and we need to be more positive.
Yeah, I did that. My first review with GVN, I did the same exact thing. I thought I was being funny. I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill him with this. And then I was after I think Jawan said something to me afterwards, and I went back and read it, and I was like, oh, I was an asshole. Like my bad. It was like two in the morning when I wrote it. And I thought I was funny. I was thinking like, I'm gonna throw these wild and out jokes. And no, it just I look this. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I look like. So yeah.
I completely agree with you. But Dom, I think we did a great job in reviewing Black Widow. I hope that everyone goes to see it. Marvel is back. I know we have the shows, right? And we're loving Loki. We've watched all the others, WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it's good to have the movies back. It's good to kind of have that feel. So please make sure that you check out Black Widow when it comes out July 9th, whether you go to the theater or you feel more comfortable at home, however you can watch it. Take advantage and watch this film. Dom, before I let you get out of here, let everyone know where they can find you. You've got a lot going on, so come on. What's the review that we need to be reading right now?
Um, so I just dropped this week. There's a new show on Disney Plus called The Mysterious Benedict Society, and I know when people look at it, they're like, "Ah, it's this little kid, lighthearted show." It's a mystery show. It's basically, if you like Stranger Things, you'll like this. It's not, super sci-fi, but it's a mystery. It's witty. It's got some great cast. It is episode like week to week, so my reviews come out every week for each episode. Drop one for the Boss Baby. Not a huge fan, but I put in there the things that you'll love about it. And also the Forever Purge. We didn't necessarily need this movie in the span of the franchise, but I think it is kind of a necessary film because it kind of shows us how ugly we've been as a nation. This is a true kind of reflection film of how we look to other people in other countries. And for some of us who don't participate in like hate and racism, this is what we see when we see everybody else. So this one is a little bit more political. So if you're not into that, you might want to skip it. But I do think that it's important for us to kind of see criticism, even if it's from, you know, people who live in the same country. We need to see what's going on. So it is uh, removed from the horror a little bit. It is more of an action thriller, but I thought it was pretty good. I think that's and then I will have Zola and the Roadrunner, which is about Anthony Bourdain, and the No Sudden Move that's on HBO Max right now, and that was a good movie too. So those reviews will be out probably Monday, I'd say.
Well, I am looking forward to your review on Roadrunner because I really liked Anthony Bourdain and I miss his presence on screen. Yeah, that's refreshing to hear about Forever Purge. Like you, I was seeing the trailers and thinking, do we need this? But you knew that the movie was doing a good job in its perception of America when in election year it was having that people from other countries are like, we're coming here just to participate in the purge. And I was like, that's awful that America's known for that in this realm, but very telling. So please everyone make sure that you are checking out Dom's reviews on geek5nation.com. Right before this freaking podcast, he watched a movie. I'm sure he's going to watch a movie after this and watch one when he wakes up tomorrow. So he's always watching films to review. So make sure that you check that out and that you are following Geek Vibes Nation on all of our social media accounts. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Please make sure that you're following us. As for me, if you want to follow my personal social media accounts, I'm on Twitter and Instagram, TC_Stark. Just doing reviews here and there, doing some news articles and everything. I don't have any interviews to promote at the moment. I'm sorry?
I said that's very weird too.
It
You
is.
always have interviews on deck.
I'm waiting for responses for all the upcoming like Netflix stuff. I'm constantly emailing the rep for Narcos Mexico because I'm like, anything for season 3 yet? Anyone, guys? But please make sure that you're checking us out. And if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel right here, make sure that you're subscribed because we got a lot of awesome content. So Dom, thank you again for participating in this review. And actually, even you're the one who proposed this review. So thank you very much for doing that. I'm so happy to talk about Black Widow with you. And everyone, until next time, bye.